Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 11 of JuJutsu Kaisen, and man, I have not been this intrigued by a setup with an antagonist for quite a while in a shonen, but Mahito is very interesting. And I think what's more interesting is his connection with Yoshino. And poor Yoshino, he has such like a horrific background to him. And so I'm glad that Yuji has met up with him because Yuji's such like a ray of positivity that I'm hoping that he can connect to Yoshino and make him realize that there are good people in the world. They do exist. He's just been unfortunate enough to have to deal with like seeing the worst of humanity most of his life, that he needs to see something positive. So I'm hoping that that kind of reigns true and that Yuji can kind of reach him because, man, oh, poor kid. Like, I feel so bad for him in this series. And also, Mahito has me a little bit worried because our poor Kento, our poor businessman turned jujitsu sorcerer that I love, is fighting against this guy that can manipulate souls and turn people into curses, and that makes me really worried because he clearly wants to do something to Kento, and I'm like, please don't, or Nanami, or however you, whether you go Kento or Nanami. I'm like, but I'm really worried because I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I want him to be safe, and he says he's going into overtime, so I'm like, what does that mean? What does your jujitsu powers do when you go into overtime? How does that work? So there's a lot of things I'm curious about, but man, the animation, the plot, this show, taking shonen tropes that are so kind of seemingly by the book and just kind of subverting them and twisting them in different ways. I really like that. I like that this show is, it seems like a modern update of the shonen, if that makes sense. Like I love One Piece, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge One Piece fan. I read the snot out of Bleach. And I read Naruto, and Naruto not so much, maybe kind of, but like there are certain shonen tropes that as a female viewer I'm like, you know, and it's fine, I get it. But here I think that it's a shonen I really like because it's not falling into those tropes, or if there are those tropes, it's subverting them in different ways. Like Nobara seems like this bratty kid, but she's actually got like a little bit more backstory. There's a little bit more to her than that. Maki, there's a little bit more to her than that. Now, my kind of falls in that trope a little bit, but you know, I may be surprised as the show goes on. But I really like what this show is doing. I'd say this show and Demon Slayer are taking some interesting shonen tropes and kind of subverting them in different ways, which is fun. So that's my soapbox. But anyway, I am excited to watch this episode. I'm really nervous for Kento. I've been holding off on watching this episode for a while, for a couple days more than I usually do, because I'm like, I don't want anything bad to happen to him. And I'm really worried about Yoshino. I hope that Yuji can reach him. So we shall see. But in any case, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy the reaction. And we are going to start episode 11, Narrow-Minded. Interesting. Talking about perspectives, philosophies. We're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So, are we getting... Okay, so are we getting him coming back to see the other first years at the end of next episode? Or, oh my gosh. Y'all. Again, Mahito is interesting to me. I like that Kento being a boss, first of all, Kento being the adult of adults, as Ichiji calls him, the most adult person in the room. Just being a boss. I love the idea that it makes so much sense. He's like, why should we go all out? We should put in moderate effort. And his jujitsu power is only using moderate effort until overtime, and then he's able to increase his cursed energy. That's really cool. That makes a lot of sense for his character. That's a really cool explanation. And I'm so happy he got away unscathed. Well, he got a cut on him, a big gash on him, it looked like, but he got away relatively unscathed. Probably should have killed Mahito, but you know, here we are. So there's that. I like that Ichiji is terrified to speak in front of Kento. He's like, not me, I don't want to do it because he's going to make me cry and I'm an old man. I don't want to cry in front of a man younger than me. Poor Ichiji. He's been through the ringer this whole season so far. He has the horrible middleman job trying to babysit all these cats. But yeah, Kento, I love Kento not only stepping up and being the adult of adults, but telling Yuji, like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to keep you from doing what you don't want to do. And I know you want to help me, but if you help me, you're going to have to face some hard realities. And that's this whole episode dealing with harsh realities. I love the friendship that develops this episode between Yoshino and Yuji. Like, it's so good. And it's so pure. It makes so much sense now because Yuji's been he's been forced to watch all these movies for his training, and then he meets someone in a movie club that is passionate about what he's had to watch. And so they get to bond over that commonality. But then Yoshino getting to see the pure soul that is Yuji Itadori, and just how he is able to be such a positive influence. And he's so charismatic and just like happy, and it seems like they have a good dinner with his mom before. I'm sorry I cursed, but I was like not expecting that at all, and it totally freaked me out. I was like, oh no. And from then you like it's like Devilman Crybaby. You just know that it's over after that moment. It's like meh. But oh my god, just crazy. Yep. But that was so heart-wrenching and insane. Really was. I'm so sad his mom's died. And because even though their relationship didn't look perfect, it was clearly she wasn't a terrible person, and the dad's not in the picture. I like that we get confirmation that Yuji does not know his family at all. His grandpa's just strictly raised him. I'm wondering if that's going to come up in the future, if that's going to be a plot point later on down the road about the non-existent family, but at least we get confirmation on that his grandpa's raised him. But this idea, one, that Yuji doesn't want to kill anybody, which, if you're a jujutsu sorcerer, he's trying to be Batman here and saying, my one rule is I'm not going to kill anybody, but it's like, oh, you're fighting these curses and these curse users, and these curse users are technically human, so how does that work? And clearly, Mahito has given power to Yoshino because he uses it on that student at the end. I thought he was going after the teacher, but he clearly was targeting this bully that we've just met. It's like, I think he's just wanting to take his frustration and anger out on something, and so he's like, oh, I know this one person and I'm going to fixate. And he kind of admits it in the end of the episode. He's like, even regardless of whether you killed my mom or not, I'm mad, I have all this rage, and I'm going to take it out on somebody. And Yuji's like, no, what are you doing? I'm like, I just want Yuji and Yoshino to be friends because it seemed like they were having such a good time. And then Mahito is interesting. I like that Kento establishes that Mahito's not been around for a long time. He's a baby curse. He's a child, which is terrifying. I noticed when they were fighting, he didn't do the domain, so I was like, okay, does he just not need it? But he doesn't really know how to yet. And then Getou gets more curious and curiouser. This curse user that doesn't want anybody to know he's there, which we know he's been faking his death because everybody thinks he's dead. But I'm real curious about his character now because he clearly is like stringing JoJo and Mahito along. So he seems like kind of the mastermind behind all of this. And Mahito and Jogo and them are just kind of along for the ride. And Mahito just happens to be a really powerful curse. So it's beneficial to him. But, oh man. Ugh. I'm worried. Because Yuji's so nice, but if Sakuna comes out, and obviously Sakuna can come out at any time, he just has to do the pact and Yuji won't know. It's like, what do we do? And I feel for Yoshino so much because I want him to be okay. But man, this is a really good episode, but it's also setting up some things that are like some hard questions, like morality. Like, you don't want to kill people, but you're in a profession where you're going to have to exorcise spirits, and if these spirits can be formerly humans, what kind of lines are we drawing here? And so I'm really... And then there's that layer of Mahito telling Yoshino to be friendly towards jujutsu sorcerers to get all the information he can. So it's like there's this layer of how much of it is genuine, Yoshino genuinely wanting to be Yuji's friend, and how much is it him just following what Mahito's told him to do. Y'all. I don't know, but man, This whole time since, episode 4 when Yuji's died, we've had all these episodes where he's been just dead the whole time to Fushiguro and Nobara. I'm just waiting for him to come back and be like, hey guys, I'm alive. Been alive the last 10 episodes. What have y'all been up to? I'm waiting for it, but I'm like, man, whew. I'm liking that we get to see our protagonist doing his own thing, but I am ready for him to be back with Fushiguro and Nobara because I kind of miss them. I wish they were kind of here to help in this, but I get that this is kind of Yuji and Yoshino's moments. And, oh man. So I'm curious what you all thought down below. Please no spoilers, but please let me know what you thought about the episode. And yeah, so next week we'll do episode 12. Whew. And see what all happens there. I have no clue how Yuji is going to handle this with Yoshino and how Sakuna is going to get involved and what's going to happen. But let me know your thoughts down below. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.